FieldWatch leads the world in online brand protection and compliance monitoring. It scrubs the entire internet looking for any content that could harm your company in order to bring it to your attention for immediate action and remediation. With our powerful platform, your team can immediately address any violations in order to get ahead of regulators and avoid brand risks. To learn more about FieldWatch, log on to momofactor.com and schedule a demo with our team today. Hi everyone, and welcome to MomoTalks, your exclusive podcast for expert insights from key players in the direct selling industry.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of MomoTalks. I'm Jerilyn Taylor Passey, and I'll be your guide as we dig into some stories of growth, leadership, and purpose with people who are making a difference in the channel. Today, I'm excited to welcome Craig White. He is president and CEO of PaperPie. He brings a wide range of leadership experience and thoughtful perspective on what it takes to grow, adapt, and lead in the ever-evolving world of direct selling. Craig, thanks so much for being here.
Wow, thanks. That was a very impressive intro. I hope I can live up to that.
Of course. Well, Craig, let's keep the momentum going and jump right in. What does a day in your role usually look like?
Well, first, there's no typical day. Every day is different. I do try to keep in touch with the field sales force, but I have a chief sales and marketing and a director of vision and strategy who are much more in communication with the field on a daily basis. We do have regularly scheduled calls with them, so I can see our upper level leadership on those calls. I do like to try to call people if I have my chief sales and marketing officer kind of point me in the right direction. If there's somebody that's had an incredible month or whatnot, I like to get on the phone. But then also we have other divisions and other departments and product lines that I'm responsible for that each have their different leadership. So I meet with them as needed, but we also have regularly scheduled check-ins with those that are not necessarily in the PaperPie division.
Wow, that's impressive. I didn't know you were making calls like that. So I'm sure they really appreciate that, getting that hands-on, ears on the ground experience. So you've seen the industry evolve in some major ways. What changes have stood out the most to you, and how have they shaped your overall approach as a leader?
Well, so for our business, the several major shifts have been the advent of social media as it comes into the direct selling space. That exploded at us in growth back in 16, 17, 18 timeframe. And then, of course, COVID, another huge shift. We happened to be ready when that happened. We had the delivery tools, the delivery methods, and then the products that people were looking for as their children came home and stayed home from school and whatnot. So we had puzzles and books and educational materials. And then now the post-COVID shift where we're all trying to figure out what the new normal is, but they don't really change my leadership style. I'm kind of a data-driven. I like facts. I like data to make decisions. I'm very collaborative, so I get all the decision makers, the key people involved. And if it's a decision that absolutely must be made by me that affects the whole company, then I get all the data points and make a decision. Otherwise, I'm kind of hands off. I let key decision makers make decisions if it's not affecting the entire company.
Great, that's great. So delegating and making sure the numbers line up. Numbers don't lie, so I like that. So purpose seems to be a real cornerstone of PaperPie. You mentioned a little bit about educational books and knowledge, and that children are always going to want to read books. I couldn't imagine how many books my daughter's going to go through this year. So how do you continue to honor that mission while also keeping the pace with field expectations?
Well, so it's kind of easy to stay true to our mission. We're all about literacy and learning, and we provide educational materials. We have educational toys as well as a wide range of books as well. So it's easy to stay true to our mission and delivering educational excellence, but it's very important for me to make sure every employee in the company knows that they're part of this mission. whether it's
Mhm.
obviously customer service, they're helping a customer that had maybe a problem, to accounting. If we don't pay our brand partners correctly, then they may lose trust and kind of float away. And then obviously it's a no-brainer that the warehouse is very involved in that mission. We kind of like to say, make the boxes pretty. So we want our products to show up to customers looking nice, makes it look like we know what we're doing, and we have the
Yeah,
expertise to deliver their products properly. But so the technology into this, though, I mean, we are very low tech products. I mean, children's books are about as, low tech as you can get.
right.
But we do like to provide high tech tools for our salespeople because it really just drives our
Mm.
mission. Whatever we can do to make their job easier to get more books in the hands of children.
That's amazing. I love that. Do you have a favorite children's book?
When of course, I like all the ones that sell really well, but one that
Yeah.
most people might recognize is Everyone Poops. We've sold millions and millions and millions of copies of that book. So, I'm not sure it's my favorite, but it's our best seller. So,
Love that. So it's like it's a potty training tool, so super important. I'm about to step in front of that too. So I have to get that book soon. Um, so you mentioned a little bit about the tech front, more on your sales side of things. So what kind of digital tools or platforms are you finding most valuable right now? Do you have a special or how are you making those changes for the future of direct selling?
that's a good question. So we have a small IT team, but I'm really proud of what we're able to deliver. Again, if we can get more tools in the hands of our salespeople to make their job easier, we try to do that. But as far as the future goes, we're kind of dipping our toes a bit into the AI. As an
Right.
executive, we do a great job at collecting data. We don't do a great job at analyzing that data. So if it is AI or what other tools in the future come up to make my decision-making job easier, then that's what we're going to go for.
Awesome. Okay. Well, a lot with that comes a lot of changes and challenges. So what are some of the roadblocks you faced while modernizing? Has there been anything come up that's been really out front in front of you that's blocked you from making that complete?
Yeah, so as we grew rapidly from social media in 16, 17, 18, and then COVID, fulfillment in our warehouse was always a roadblock. Not always,
Mm.
but we grew so rapidly, it was a
Okay.
definite challenge. I remember back in Christmas time in 2016, we had about 125,000 orders, and we could only ship about 5,000 a day. So that was incredibly rough. But I'd already started working with some engineers from a local firm. We'd come up with a solution, but we just couldn't implement it in the middle of the fall season without making it worse. So we implemented that in 2017. And then I actually got my picture on the cover of Modern Material Handling for becoming a great growth story. So that was awesome. But
Um,
on a more regular basis, one of our big challenges is keeping inventory in stock. Our books are printed mostly in China, or the
oh,
UAE or Malaysia. Malaysia seems to have the corner on sticky stuff, so all of our sticker books are printed in Malaysia, but it takes about 6 to 8 months to get a new title in, or a reprint, if you will. So if it sells better than we expect, that's an incredible challenge. But we lead with openness, honesty, and transparency. I got that out of order. Honesty, openness, and transparency. So if our sales people believe us, they'll trust us, and we communicate with them very, very, very regularly about challenges like that.
great, keeping them in the loop. There was some paper shortage issues before, and then now with the tariffs and the overseas things, I couldn't imagine. It's not something I typically would think about, every day. So I'm glad you're bringing light to this, and we can understand a little bit better about how the book industry is. Um, yeah, thank you. So, are there any emerging trends or shifts you're keeping your eye on?
Well, I think some of the things that are going to be important over the next few years is trying to figure out how Gen Z and Gen Alpha want to engage with our products and want to work. I think the sooner people figure that out, the better off they're going to be. But that seems to be a big challenge. And then what role does AI and some of these things have in the industry? Now, like I said a couple of times now, our products are fairly low tech, being children's books, and that's never going to change. I mean, if something came along that was higher tech, as long as it furthered our mission of literacy and learning, we might look at it. But we are very set, and research proves out that holding a book in your hand is the best way to engage an early reader. So we're never going to get away from that particular mission.
That's great. I love that. There's a new Toy Story coming out, Toy Story 5, I think in 2026. And the villain in it is actually a tablet. So I don't know, obviously the plot of it, but I think it's very interesting. There's the concept of iPad kids and how to keep digital out of your, kids' eyesight type thing. So I really appreciate the books and paper items, and having it in your hand does make such a difference. Honestly, obviously my kid can't read, but she loves to flip the pages. She likes to touch it and feel it. So it's a different motor skill, I guess.
Well, and that time you have with your child, particularly reading at night in bed, is so special for the bonding between a parent and their child. I'm not saying all electronics are bad. There's room for both,
Right.
but as long as, books are prevalent in the home, I think you're probably better off.
Absolutely, I agree. So before we wrap up, do you have any exciting updates or ways for our listeners to stay in the loop with what's happening at PaperPie?
Well, probably nothing I can share specifically with, but we're constantly coming up with new titles, new toys, new products. We go to a couple world book fairs and toy fairs, like I said, around the world, and companies are always presenting new things to us. We're very excited with what we're going to be coming out with before long. Hopefully our customers would love those, and I think our brand partners will as well, but nothing specific. But I mean, if anybody wants to connect with us, they can go to paperpie.com and see what we're all about.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And thanks for tuning in to MomoTalks, everyone. If you enjoyed the conversation, please subscribe and follow. Until next time, keep growing and keep going.
And that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for listening to MomoTalks, and don't forget to keep up to date with Momentum Factor by logging on to momofactor.com, and be on the lookout for our next MomoTalks episode wherever you listen to podcasts.